The darker the night, the brighter the stars. A Neuropsychologist's Odyssey by Paul Broks. Read by Simon Bubb. For Sonia, a beautiful soul. All men think all men mortal, but themselves. Edward Young, Night Thoughts. Now he has departed from this strange world a little ahead of me. That signifies nothing. For those of us who believe in physics, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Albert Einstein, from a letter of condolence on the death of his friend, Michele Besso. Prologue. This wasn't my idea. Give the reader a lamp, they said, to lead them to the door. Pin a note to the door. Forewarn them it's a rambling ramshackle house they're about to enter. I was more inclined to let you find your own way in and leave you to it. But, second thoughts. This is not a conventional book, and I think you should know what you're in for. What, I hope, you're about to listen to is a mix of memoir, neurological case stories, and reflections on life, death, and the mind. I've thrown some Greek myths into the pot, and sundry other tales, some true, some not. Fact sits alongside fiction. Science tangles with myth. The fictional elements are, for the most part, easily identified. I don't have an autonomous subpersonality capable of seducing women in fluent French, for example, and I have yet to celebrate my 150th birthday. The case stories are mostly drawn from my experiences in clinical neuropsychology. Names have been changed and other layers of disguise added to preserve patient anonymity. There are two exceptions to the anonymity rule. One is the story of Pat Martino, the jazz guitar virtuoso, whose remarkable recovery from a near-fatal brain hemorrhage has long been celebrated in jazz circles. The other is Carla McKinnon, filmmaker and sleep paralysis sufferer, whose short film about that strange condition, Devil in the Room, has been screened at festivals and medical conferences worldwide. As for the autobiographical stories, I have changed some names and one or two other inconsequential details, but they are otherwise as true as I could make them. A few minor liberties have been taken with the Greek myths, but really, that's what you're supposed to do. All stories, fact and fiction, hang loosely around two perennial questions. What are we, and how should we live? And throughout these pages, there is the echo of my wife's words in her dying days. You don't know how precious life is. You think you do, but you don't. The book will make most sense if you listen to the first chapters first and the last chapters last, but otherwise you should feel free to skip and roam. Some chapters interlink, others don't, at least not explicitly, but no doubt you will make connections I didn't plan and haven't seen. The brain is a pattern-detecting device. It finds shapes and designs and meanings all over the place. Ah, someone said, so it's a metaphor for the brain itself. The way the mind hangs together, she meant. Logic linked to magic, dreams, hopes, memories, broad vistas, blind alleys, and always a sense of rolling along, hour by hour, of heading somewhere, even if that somewhere ultimately is nowhere. Yes, I declared, you've hit the nail on the head, though in truth it had never occurred to me. There is no clear dividing line in the brain between inner imaginings and perceptions of the real, solid world out there. Reality and fantasy are built into the same neural circuits. I wanted my stories to reflect that fact because I believe it rests at the core of what it is to be human. That's why, as you find your way about this rambling, ramshackle house of a book, you will encounter almost as many gods, ghosts, and mythic beasts as real-life people. It's also why the neurological patients I have chosen to write about are so often people who inhabit the twilight zones of the mind. You will meet a man who believes he is dead, but can tell you the story of his life, and a woman whose life story has been erased. There's a young man whose left hand has a menacing life of its own, and an old man who doesn't know his left hand from his right, or indeed...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?